when I saw everyone crowding into the shade, I thought, oh shit.
Yeah, so in terms of this, I mean, look, the one thing I really took from it was the control that Tommy Leuluai was imposing on the game, and just really putting buckles over everything, and really doing really well to sort of exert that control and pressure.
I think Sam Powell played as big a part in that as Leuluai did as well, though. Sam Powell played the conditions great. He was doing some long and early kicking out of dummy half, and then he led the defensive line up the field too, and it showed his ability as a ball running forward to score that game clinching try as well. But yeah, Leuluai did the bulk of the kicking for Wigan, but I think Powell had a big part to play in leading the team around the park as well, and controlling things, and basically making sure that it wasn't Wigan's energy that was sapped. It was the Catalans' energy that was sapped by the warm conditions.
I think the conditions obviously had quite a bit to play in it, as well as the. But I think do you think the crowd had any discernible effect on things, or having that crowd back in, or do you think it was just?
I think any positive that the crowd might have had was out overtaken by the fact that the Catalans haven't really been able to train together for a while, because so many of their players were stood down through test and trace protocols that they haven't. I know they'd been training the last week, so they had a few days, but it seemed like some match fitness was missing. It felt like to me from the Catalans, but also there was a couple of Catalans players who were just appalling with their decision making, and his players. I mean, Ben Garcia's been good recently, but he was diabolical in this game. When Wigan were down a man, he ran it from dummy half where all of Wigan's defenders were 2 or 3 times. He threw some wild offloads.
He was doing the thing where he was told to go near as many players as he could, because he was just running into traffic all the time. Maybe it's some secret long game weapon where they infected him with coronavirus and want to get as many stood down for track and trace as they could.
One of the things I'm trying to remember as well is someone used to always get in touch, especially around Origin times, to really get at James Maloney's headhunting, and I'm pretty sure it was Alan Walker. So we haven't heard much of that from him in his Catalans capacity, but
I believe the expression is all gone quiet, all gone quiet, all gone quiet over there.
But obviously Wigan's first try shouldn't have stood, because on the play before there was a clear forward pass, and that was a mistake by the officials. However, once it got past that point, Wigan had a legitimate argument, I think, for an 8-point try, because Oliver Gildart got taken round the head by not one but 2 Catalans players in the process of scoring his try, which he finished excellently well.
It was a steak sandwich, a Bernard Gouache steak sandwich.
Yeah. It was great to have another piece of the golden edge back in place from my perspective. Gildart and Burgess linking up well, like having them both together made no sense for me. I'm still not quite sure why Burgess didn't play last week, Joe Burgess, but they worked so great together, and were involved in 2 really good highlight moments from this game. I mean, and Bevan French was the third part of this magic, really. I think the French try I thought was just beautiful. The passing across the full width of the pitch, it was 4 passes from dummy half to the winger, from one side to the other. It was fantastic. A good pace and power from Burgess as well to get around the outside of Tierney, and then great support from French to score 2. And Burgess' second try, that was good too, wasn't it? Slightly scrappy but effective. Oliver Gildart offload, it hit the floor, but it went backwards, and it landed in the player's hands, so it did what it was supposed to do. After some really good broken play work by Bevan French, first of all, really just skipping in and out and confusing everyone, and then getting the ball away to Jackson Hastings, who basically just fed Gildart to weave some magic himself. So they were some really good moments, and I continue to be impressed by Ethan Havard and Joe Shorrocks from a Wigan perspective as well. And I thought Sam Powell, who got 3 Man of Steel points and 3 Albert Goldthorpe points in this one, I thought he was really good. We talked a bit about him before. Hastings got 2 points in both of them as well. Joe Burgess picked up 1 from Man of Steel, and Luluai picked up 1 from the Albert Goldthorpes.
Yeah, I think you've sort of covered that there. I think it was a good performance, and like I said, it's that Sam Powell Luluai control that really did it in the middle.
Yeah, it's probably the weakest of the 5 games in Super League, but arguably from Wigan the best of the 10 performances. So yeah. Stat line of the week. There was quite a few guys who went both ways, weren't there? And it was hard to pick just one, but I've gone Mikolaj Aledzki, 53 tackles, 15 of which were marker tackles and 136 metres. I'll give it to him. Player of the week. I've picked my player of the week with half an eye on the game we're going to talk about in a little while from the Challenge Cup. But he also was outstanding in the round 12 was it round 12 Super League match as well, and that's Joe Cater from Hull FC, and I'm picking him over any of the other players that impressed me this week as well, because of that thing I mentioned before, that he's kind of proved me wrong with my pre-season expectations for him.
I think Cater for me as player of the week. I think he just stood out and did very well in terms of how we went forward and really just adding that extra dynamism to the attack.
What about highlight of the week for you?
It's got to be the Ethan Ryan gymnastics, isn't it?
Well, for you it has. I'm going with Bevan French's try. I thought it was a great team move from Wigan. Or Matty Ashton's try, because that's the way you want to see games won.
Yeah, very much so.
Do you want to take us through the standings then? With it's going to be a weird thing to start explaining, but we'll tell you who's in what position, I think. Tim.
Yeah, and after this week's games, the top 3 is back to St Helens on top, Warrington second, and Wigan third, all on the same win point percentage, with St Helens having the better points difference. Leeds are up to 4th now, winning 2/3 of their 9 games so far. Catalans have slumped into 5th, although with a bit of margin back to Castleford and Hull FC in 6th and 7th. Huddersfield are at a 40% win percentage and are on 8th. Salford, Wakefield and Hull KR bring up the bottom, and the bottom is actually the only place the new way of doing things that the table plays any real part at the moment, as under more usual times KR would have leapfrogged Wakefield by virtue of points scored. Now, predictions, Super Root and Fantasy League. How do we do this week?
Yeah, so me and Alan picked 6 games last week. 5 we've talked about, 1 we're going to talk about. I was 4 out of 6 and Alan was 3 out of 6 on those ones, I think. Did I check those right? Anyway, something like that. In the Super Brew, Tim, you take over at the top from me. But Sarah has the yellow cap and moves to 3rd with Alan in 4th. So a lot of movement in the host Super Brew this week. Well done.
Gosh, who knows? Yeah, don't know how I've done that.
Yeah, and Sarah doubled the feat of yellow cap wearing by wearing it in the main Super Brew League as well. So well done to Scoots with that. And Tim Kilpin has gone top of the table in that division. I feel like Tim's been a prodigious picker for a few years. We've never heard from him, have we? So I don't even know if he's like a Super Brew bot or something, but it seems to go well.
Or if he's just Fat Boy Rob under an alias.
No, because he's tipping well.
Hey.
In the Fantasy League, someone who we know is a real person, but plays like they are some sort of machine. It's Alan Bagley who stays top and has the best weekly score too with 769. Well done again, Alan, for your outstanding achievements. Thanks everyone for all their fan views on those Super League games. It was great to get multiple views on all of the games and some good perspectives there that we definitely enjoyed. Make sure you look out for the Google Forms for next week's games to send in your match reviews. We're now going to move on to other results, which will feature a game from the Challenge Cup and a few games from the NRL.
So on to other results, and starting with the Challenge Cup, where it's the last game of round 6, which was moved around for corona-related reasons, where it finished Cass 16, Hull FC 29, having been 18-6 to Hull FC at half time, and Liam Moore was the referee for this one, and Heather was sort of darting in and out while doing some work to this one, and said he was the most comedy northerner in terms of accent that she thought she'd ever heard.
Huh.
So I didn't think he was that bad.
No,
yeah.
I'd never thought that he was bad at all.
Yeah, that was, and this is someone who lived in Oldham for 7 years as well. So there we go.
Right, well, on to the fan views. The first one comes in from Paige, who said, perfect birthday win.
And Tom Andrews said on the same theme, suppose I can forgive an FC win on Paige's birthday. Just. Quality of the game was awful second half, but what can you expect on a 72-hour turnaround? Powell's sour grape faces are always amusing after a game. It was particularly vinegar this week.
Yeah, twice we got to experience it.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Paige. 30th birthday. So big one for Paige. Met in style with the Hull FC win, and also Tom arranged for lots of Hull FC players to wish her a happy birthday, which was very nice as well. So excellent.
Was it like the Carol Baskin video? Did they not really know what they were saying?
No, they looked like they knew what they were saying. Scott Taylor looked particularly enthusiastic, I thought, to be wishing Paige a happy birthday, and of course we're enthusiastic to be wishing Paige a belated happy birthday as well. Joshua's granddad said, last fully justified in use of squad over the two games. Loss, as in Carlos Tumavavi, proving his extension value. Lots of effort, but at what cost? Ratu, Albo and Shaw joining the injury crisis. Not that Sky will tell anyone. Bring on the young bloods. Well, the game was on BBC and the next game's on BBC, John.
It's we miss Sarah being able to, acting as interpreter for this one. I think the squad usage is the key thing that we'll come on to. Carlston said, well, that last gamble came. I mean, Andy Last is his surname. It's going to come. I hope he stays coach for a long time, because it's going to lead us to all manner of confusion and puns, isn't it?
Oh, it took me 2 reads of John's to get my head around what he was saying at the start.
Hull looked fitter all over the park, but these injuries are a heavy price. Do they have a half-back left? Oh, and the rig of Ellis is embarrassing for anybody around 40.
Oh, yeah, I mean it's insane that he was coming to blows with a guy who wasn't even born when he made his Super League debut at one point during this game, Gareth Ellis. But I suppose the starting point is the different ways that both the two coaches kind of came into this game. So Castleford basically went with the same side pretty much, apart from Sasaya Feki came in and didn't last long, unfortunately, for him on his Castleford debut. Whereas Hull, that played Warrington, whereas Hull FC made, I think, 8 changes overall. Some of them were like suspension changes, injury changes, that sort of stuff, but it was a complete refresh of their side, really, from the one that played against Wakefield in the Super League round. I think Castleford kind of didn't have a choice, because Castleford were playing against a Warrington side that, even though they were shorn of a lot of their key players, had played really well against Hull FC in that same circumstance the week before. So I don't think Castleford had a choice but to go with what they could go with. I don't think they have as much depth, to be honest, as some of the other clubs do for a start. Whereas Hull FC were playing against a side that haven't won for ages, have massive injury woes of their own. I think there was an ability to be a bit more adaptive from Hull FC just because of the way the fixtures lined up into this one. They kind of got lucky, whereas Cass didn't. Cass were unlucky, which is what one of the points Darryl Powell was very fairly making, that Cass have been unlucky quite a lot with how things have fallen, even though Cass
are never unlucky. It's the conspiracy against them.
Well, I think that's the key thing to point out, that it is just luck, and there's no bigger thinking around it. But yeah, what did you make of that situation then, and how key do you think it was? Because, and I will just add before you say, because actually when the game was played, Hull FC lost a number of players through injury during this game. I know so did Castleford. They lost 2, but Hull were down to no one on the bench.